What's going on, Babylonians? It's me, Songs of Rage, and I'm back on the channel bringing some more of the finals guides towards you. Now, today's video, we're going to be looking at all 9 of the weapons when it comes to the light class, and we're going to be ranking them from number 1, which is the best, all the way down to number 9, which is pretty much trash tier at this point. In this, we'll be having a look across all their TTKs, all the stats, all the figures that you possibly could need to know, and I'll be explaining my choices and my reasons as to why they are put in this order. Of course, if you feel like I've got any of this wrong, feel free to use the comment section down below to let me know how you would put your choices. What do you think is going to be number 1? Do you think it's actually going to be the same as what I currently have? And let me know your visions and your decisions all there down below. Of course, if you do enjoy this type of content and you want to see more from ourselves, especially when it comes to the medium and the heavy class as well, then make sure to drop that like and subscribe so you can find your way back to the channel for more. With all that said and done, what are we waiting for? Let's get into our number 9 pick, and this is going to be the sword. Now, the reason why I do have the sword at number 9 as low down as possibly as on this list is because of its insane kind of like slow TTK values, and just because it is a melee kind of playstyle. Now, this means that we don't have any kind of range. We have no way of being able to deal with this medium class at 40 odd meters while they're still gunning us down with their AKM. So what can we actually do with the sword? Well, because it is melee, you do have to be able to swing it like this, and you can see that we do have around about a meter or so of being able to land those hits. The problem is that when it comes to swinging like this, it is a ridiculously slow time to kill, and there's not much that you can do to be able to improve this. Now, we do also have access to an alt fire, which allows us to have a lunge and do a decent chunk of damage, but once we do that, it's just, once again, it's going to take us so long to be able to take down a heavy class, and it's one of the slowest that exists in this game. It's because of this, and because we do have the hindrance of a melee kind of playstyle, and while that is a fun thing to be able to mess about with, I'm not going to ignore that fact whatsoever. It's just, if we are looking at all the other weapons, if you're looking at it from a competitive type view, the sword just does not cut it. Pun intended. So coming in at the 8th spot, this is going to go to our newcomers. This is going to be our new weapons, which are going to be the throwing knives. Now, if you haven't already tried these out, these are a lot of fun to be able to mess about with, but unfortunately, they're just not the most competitive when it comes to time to kill values. Now, what you can see is that these are not hit scan. These are going to be projectiles, so that does mean that you need to lead these if you are trying to hit your targets. And while it isn't the most impossible job in the world or anything like that, you can see that we are having difficulty being able to hit this target all the way over here, and you do need to adjust for height so that they do arc down. Now, one good thing that we do have with the throwing knives is that we do have an alternate fire mode, and this is going to be our alt fire right here. So we get to throw one single dagger that is able to do a ton of damage with this, to the point that it is able to instantly kill one light class with one single headshot from this, and it does do some nice damage if you do hit him in the chest, as you can see here. What this does is it reduces the amount of knives that we need to be able to kill by 1, so including the first projectile and then the follow-up projectiles after that. So if you are able to start combat by landing one of these, it does have a decent TTK, but then that kind of means that you have to do this for every single person that you fight, and because we are going into a 3-team or 3-person kind of team fight, you need to like land this every single time on one person, and then you need to turn around and land it on another person, and that's if they haven't been able to melt you down because you are the light class with the lowest amount of HP. Overall, the throwing knives are a lot of fun. If you are able to hit consistent headshots, they are pretty reliable, but overall, they're just not the best, and they're just not the most fun, and the reason why is because we do have these jumping inaccuracies as well, so you can't use jumping to be able to get around. You can't use this as a way to be able to make yourself a harder target to hit. You will just be hurting yourself in the long run. So overall, for the time being, until they get a bit of a buff, the throwing knives have to come in at the number 8 position. So we're going one step higher than that, and that means we're going to be going back to another melee-focused playstyle, and that is going to be the Assassin's Dagger. Now, the reason why I put this one once again low down is that while it does have a way of being able to instantly delete light classes if we use our alt fire, as you can see here, it once again pigeonholes you into a certain playstyle, and we want to use guns that are going to be very versatile and we can adapt to on the fly. So when it comes to using our main kind of standard attack, if we are attacking head on, this gives us the slowest time to kill that exists in the game when it comes to body shots, clocking in at 2.1 seconds for being able to take down a light class, and a whopping 6.5 seconds to be able to take down a heavy class, which is kind of crazy. So you definitely want to kind of avoid that where possible. So the only way that we can get around this is that if we do go for that backstab, we can then land that quick melee, and that is a very quick time to kill. But obviously this means that we have to get behind this character. If we are rushing them head down, if they are using a shotgun, we are in trouble. What we can do is use a dash to be able to get in, and then we can just finish them off that way. But if you aren't able to get behind them, if you are just landing these standard stabs, you are in for the world of hurt. You are going to get decimated by every single class that exists in this game, whether that's a light, whether that's a medium, or whether that's a heavy. It's for this reason that I can't put the Assassin Dagger any higher than that, because it's not going to be for everyone. It's a decent weapon to use. It's decent if you do manage to learn it right, if you use invisibility, or if you use the dash so that you can start getting in and start landing in those trick stabs. But other than that, outside of that, it's just not the most versatile, and you're probably not really going to start seeing this in ranked anytime soon. So now we're starting to get into the controversial picks, because the next 6 weapons, although they are very good, we do have to start ranking them. So at the number 6 spot, I'm actually going to put this SR84, which is going to be the sniper rifle. Now, in terms of this gun, it is a very strong sniper rifle, but only mostly against light classes, because you are able to land one single headshot and you're able to delete that light class. Now, that's the only class that you can do this to. If you do against a medium, you can see they are left with a sliver. And once again, if you go against a heavy, they are still left with that amount of kind of hit points there. One thing to note that is if you have landed a headshot, you can land one single body shot, and that will then instantly delete both the medium and the heavy, but it does mean that you do require 2 single shots to be able to land, to be able to get that time to kill. Now, I will say I have seen some very capable snipers that do exist on the battlefield when it comes to the finals, and I'm not trying to take this away from them whatsoever. I'm just going to say if we're looking more of like a general purpose kind of use, the SR84 is just not going to be for everyone, and the main reason why is because, once again, this is another weapon that pigeonholes you into a certain playstyle. Giving yourself just a sniper rifle with no other means of defense when it comes to like a pistol or anything like that, you have to rely on your movement abilities to get around, just to be able to protect yourself. It's just not going to be for everyone. As you can see, I'm not like the most capable sniper or anything like that. I'm not even going to pretend. But because you have no pistol to fall back on, because you have no other close range defense or anything like that, it kind of means that you have to use this from a distance, unless you're like a very confident sniper and you're trying to use this with dash. You're just getting like trick shots left, right and center. You're going for those montage type of clips and all that kind of thing. The SR84 on paper for everyone across the whole board though is just not going to be it, and I just think that the other weapons are just a bit more versatile when it comes to ranked. So now we're starting to get, once again, a bit more controversial, because this weapon was absolutely beloved by the community. It's one of the best guns, to be fair to you. The reason why I only have to put it at the number 5 spot is because I think the other ones bring a little bit more to the table when it comes to it. Now, the V9S is a very good suppressed pistol. It's very manageable. It's easy to use when it comes to recoil properties and all that kind of thing, as you can see from here. Being able to fire all those bullets is just pretty much straight up. The only thing you need to factor in is this first jump between the first and the second bullets, but after that it is just pretty much a very slow kind of like incline, and you can just manage this just by pulling your mouse down. Now, this weapon used to be an absolute monster because it used to be able to beam away at very long distances, and you could plink some snipers and everything like that. It was basically a better sniper rifle because it had a better fire rate and everything like that. So this weapon has had a couple of nerfs hit to it. It's had less bullets in its magazine. It's got like a bit more recoil. It's got like damage fall off when it comes to like over range and everything like that. But it's still a very capable gun. You can still absolutely delete some enemies when it comes to up close. You can still use them at medium range. It's just you're not able to do it across the way, like all the way from here, all the way to like, I don't know, 45 meters away. It's just not the absolute monster that it used to be. But it's still more than capable. If you use it in the light class, you are able to get some nice kind of like time to kills when it comes to hitting that body chest. If you're able to hit that headshot, even better, because it will just absolutely start to delete. But if you're able to master the V9S, then this will start seeing you through. On top of that, having a suppressor on it means that it's able to mask some of your gunshots, so you can get away with using this in a team fight if you're able to get some flanks on. So you can start doing this, you can plink one away, and then start getting yourself up on the rest of the team. And this thing has more than enough damage per mag, so you can start doing some decent damage across maybe 1 to 2 people inside of the whole team. Overall, I am a massive fan of the V9S, but unfortunately the other 4 weapons that we do have on this list are a little bit more versatile, do a little bit more damage, and a little bit more insane. So I can already hear the comments section right now just typing away at the fact that the M11 is only number 4 on this list, but I'm going to explain my reasons for this. I genuinely think that the M11 is not as versatile as some of the other weapons that we're going to have a quick look at, and when it comes to close range TTKs, there is something that absolutely decimates it when it comes to that, and that's going to be higher on the list as well. So it's not the absolute best when it comes to close range TTKs. It has insane recoil properties, as you can tell from this. So you try and kind of control that pattern and try and tell me that's an easy thing to be able to do at range. I mean, I even struggle. I mean, I can delete a medium with it, but it's going to take me a lot of time. And if they're moving around, that's just a stationary target. There is no chance. It's just not going to happen. So if you are able to be used to like the AK pattern from like Counter-Strike or something like that, then maybe you'll be able to understand what the M11's like. But most people even in that game don't do the full kind of spray pattern. So I'm not expecting anyone to do it in this game either. Now the real kind of strength for the M11 is because it is an insanely fast time to kill. It has insane rate of fire. It is just insane to use on range. You can use this at medium to close range as well, which is quite nice, and it doesn't rely on you being able to get headshots to have a ridiculously fast time to kill. So while headshots do actually help it out a little bit, it's not to the point where it is the gun is kind of dependent on you landing those headshots. You can just mix in and go back and forth, and it will just help you out in that kind of capacity as well. So it's kind of a very friendly weapon to use as a light class that's playing up close. You can use this, you can burst down. This will absolutely decimate heavies, this will absolutely decimate light classes. It's one of the fastest time to kills when it comes to guns in this game. And overall, honestly, the M11, you definitely can go worse. I kind of recommend just using it as hipfire, unless you're around about this kind of close. If you're doing short control bursts, you should be absolutely fine. If you're looking for extended kind of playstyle, I would recommend just getting up this close and then just starting to hipfire, and you should get the most out of the M11. So taking the bronze medal, I'm going to give it to the original kind of monster, the god tier weapon that used to exist back in March of 2022, and this is going to go to the LH1 battle rifle. Now the reason why we do have this is that once again this is just versatility just incarnate basically. This thing gives the light class range, this thing gives the light class damage, this thing can be used to be spammed, this thing can be used for insane kind of damage potential. It will delete heavy classes if you're able to land headshots, it will delete light classes in as little as 2 shots. The LH1 pretty much has everything you could possibly need when it comes to being able to give the light class a little bit more range, a little bit more damage, a little bit more versatility. Now since its monster status, since back in March of 2023, this thing has just had a couple of nerfs go its way, but it's recently been buffed again because the last beta, no one touched this thing. This thing was absolutely atrocious because it had insane recoil properties. You can see that we only have iron sights, so we don't have like a reflex scope or anything like that to help us out with that. And in terms of that, the recoil was also kind of crazy. So what they've done is they've bumped up the damage, they've lowered the fire rate, they've made the recoil a bit more manageable, and now we're able to be in this kind of balanced state where we can just use this, we can still spam away, you can still do some nice damage, and we can still spam away at this kind of range and get some instant kind of deletes. Overall, in the current state of the LH1, I absolutely love this gun, and I will definitely be using this out and about in the finals because you can use this to such great extent. But there are still 2 more weapons that are a little bit better than this, so let's go into the second one. This is going to be the runner-up, and this is going to be the XP54. So why do I think that the XP54 is the better of the SMGs? Why do I think that this is the second best gun for the light class? And why do I feel like at some point this is probably going to become the best weapon in the class? Well, there's a couple of things that do decide it and kind of like take it over that of the LH1 as well as the M11. The main thing that kind of like stands out right off the bat is going to be this reflex sight. This definitely helps us out. This allows us to be able to keep us on track. It allows us to be able to start landing our shots a little bit easier. And on top of that, it also allows us to be able to use it for range when it comes where something like the M11 we can't do that. Now unfortunately we do have 10 bullets less than the M11, and when it comes to the LH1 we do have fully automatic fire, so we can just kind of like factor that in. On top of that, the XP54 has some insane kind of damage in terms of like time to kill once it comes to landing all of those shots. The only thing that eventually beats it is going to be headshots when it comes to the LH1, but obviously with the LH1 that requires you to have a decent trigger figure. It's very, like in terms of like fire rate and all that, it's such less forgiving. So with the XP54 you have a much higher fire rate, and you also have this sight, and you just have so many things that just kind of help you out. On top of that, the XP54 also has a very respectable time to kill when it comes to landing body shots, so even if you aren't able to land headshots, unlike the LH1, you can still get a really good time to kill, and you don't have to rely on being able to hit that critical spot over and over again. The XP54 also boasts some really nice range properties, as you can see here from like around about 30 meters. We can still absolutely laser beam down a medium class, and we still have bullets to spare. I've just popped a reload just because that's just like force of habit and like nature. But because of the recoil properties, because of how this gun performs, we can still take light and medium classes down before we get into this close range encounter, and then even then it still has really good hip fire properties. Probably not as good as the M11, but it's still good enough so that we can actually take on those fights up close. Now in terms of recoil plots, what we can see here is that if we go this close, we can see that this is what we're dealing with. As you can tell, we get to a certain point where it plateaus and then it just goes right, but it is essentially just a slide to the right and always upwards, so you can just pull down like this and eventually you will be able to land every single one of those bullets. This will take a little bit of practice, I'm sure, but it's one of the easier recoil plots to be able to manage, so if you're able to get this right, you can definitely get some nice laser beam accurate kind of like plots right there. Overall, I absolutely love the XP54. If you're looking to unlock a fully auto, if you're looking to unlock one of the best guns for the light class that's just versatile on so many ranges, then this is going to be the go-to, and I would highly recommend that you start with this one. But of course, there's one weapon that is better than the XP54, that's the whole point of this list, and that's going to have to go to the SH1900. The reason on this is because it is just damage incarnate. This thing will absolutely decimate the floor with every single one of the classes that exist in this game. That's going to go for lights, that's going to go for mediums, that's going to go for heavies. This is one of the best heavy killers that exist in this game. If we're looking outside of other like niches, like being able to use the explosive kind of barrels, if we're looking like with C4s, all that kind of other stuff, if we're looking purely on a weapon perspective kind of thing, this is one of the fastest, if not the fastest gun that gets to kill in this whole game. When it comes to light classes, you are instantly deleting them. You just wipe them off the face of this earth. They're gone. That is it. You know, it's literally as simple as that. And because it's a shotgun, it don't have to worry about any kind of headshot multiplier. You just aim for the central mass, and you will be landing all those high body damage shots. Now what's crazy about this is that we can two-shot a heavy class all the way out of this, and we can do this from a decent distance. Now eventually sometimes it will get to leave with that much health, but because you're going to be up close anyway with this shotgun, you can just land a quick melee, and I think that's just because of one single pellet. If you don't land one single pellet, it will be a case that you will need to be able to go in for that quick melee. But as it currently stands, this is one of the fastest ways to go. And if you combine this with invisibility, if you combine this with dash, you can then start using your mobility to the best of your advantage. And it will mean that they won't be able to land a hit on you, but you will pretty much just wipe them straight off the face of the earth. Now, of course, this two-hit does get a bit more consistent against the medium class, as you can see here. Because it just wipes them down to so little. But when it comes to the heavy, you do need to be able to get up close, you do need to be able to get those meat shots, but it is actually easier than I'm making it out to be. It is one of the better kind of weapons to be able to do so. Now in terms of like spray pattern with this, in terms of like how you want to aim this, you can see here that it does not fill the hipfire box. So you want to see, like, get an idea as to how you want to aim this. You want to make sure that this part here, at the very least, is landing central mass. So as long as you can get these bullets to go, you'll be doing the majority of your damage, and I highly recommend that you try and get as much in as possible. I will be doing a separate video on the SH1900 in terms of like my favourite loadout, but if you combine this with something like dash, if you combine it with something like invisibility, you're going to be in for a good time, and you'll just be wiping the floor with heavy classes just left, right and centre. But there you go, that wraps it up on the list. Let me know in the comment section down below, how do you think I've done? How do you actually compare some of the weapons that exist in this game? Do you think I've got the list right? And let me know where you think I've got it wrong in the comment section below. Massive thank you for making your way to the end of the video. Massive thank you to the Babylonian family, as always, for their continued support. It really does help channel out. And of course, if you did enjoy this and you want to see more from ourselves, make sure to drop that like and subscribe so you can find your way back to the channel. With all that said and done, that just leaves me to say, keep yourself safe, keep yourselves well, and I'll see you all on our next video.